was just looking at something for my wife. God rest her soul.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, she's not dead. Yeah, we're just divorced. She's history. And obviously she doesn't wear underwear. And there are plenty of shopping days left until adulthood, which is to say Christmas as a Yule log. Not a log, I don't have a log, but I mean, just if I had a log, not in the sense that you think I said I did. Oh, good golly. 'Tis the season to be merry.
Most important question I'm going to ask you today. Was she into him? Be serious.
I think so. I do.
I was wondering if it was in his head.
No, I think there's something endearing about him. I don't know. He's being goofy. I think she found that cute.
She likes the dad energy.
Yeah, I think so. The widower.
Not dead yet. Not yet. I always wondered.
Was he implying he was going to murder her?
Hey, there's crazy things you do for love, right?
Yeah.
So, department store. I mean, remember, like the department store, like seller person. Like they still have the perfume and cologne people, but like I remember we watched Child's Play 1, right? Like the one lady wasn't allowed to work the one counter. She didn't know how to sell. Like this lady knows how to sell lingerie. So I guess there's no other replacement.
Oh, yeah. She sells, she shows, she tells, Joe. She does it all.
I don't know. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. You guys have to let us know. Anyway, welcome back. This is episode 144 of the Last Row Podcast. It's the first movie in a trio of holiday heavy hitters here, which we'll get to in a minute. So you'll be hearing us talk about some holiday movies. But if you're new to the show, check us out, thelastrowpodcast.com. Follow us on all the social channels at The Last Row Pod. Please hit that subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And check us out there. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave a 5-star review. Welcome back, Badway. Merry holidays, I guess. It's early, but we're in the spirit. This is the one that gets us in the spirit. Are you feeling jolly?
Sure. And by the way, I would not throw it all away if I had Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah, I know, right?
So
Babs.
Babs and all. Yeah, feeling jolly, holly, jolly-o, and all that jazz. It's too early for that, Drew.
It is?
It is.
But
for me to get
it.
No, it's not too early to start the season, but it's too early to get jacked about it.
I see. I understand.
I'm in phase 1 of just accepting it.
You're warming up.
Warming up to it. Put me by the fire that is Christmas. I'm rubbing my hands in the fire that is the Christmas fire.
Did we jump into the fire with this movie? Because I know a lot of people watch this Christmas Eve. Like, was it too early for this one for you?
I mean, this is a good companion piece. And
I like it.
It'll drop, I believe, on the 5th or something. I don't know, days. 7th?
The 7th.
If you're listening to this on the 7th, they could save it. Listen, people, have restraint.
I don't know.
We dropped this ep on the 7th, and you're listening to it on the 7th. You don't have to. We appreciate it.
This gets them in the mood. This is getting them warmed up.
But it's like, what is, you ever practice tantric, Drew? The tantric? Let's do that for the episode, right?
We're
save
both
it.
Tantric masters of all the people that are listening to us.
Save it. Enjoy it.
Oh, you guys feeling the...
Maybe 5 minutes a day.
Badway's going for his Howard Stern impression over here from Private Parts.
Let's edge them, Drew.
Yeah. Aw. Too far.
Christmas.
I crossed the line.
Christmas Vacation.
I crossed the line. I'm sorry.
Released on the day we are speaking, December 1st, 1989, day of recording. This is I don't do math, I used to, 34th anniversary.
Yeah.
How is that about? What's funny? I didn't watch this movie as a youth.
You didn't?
I believe I first saw this movie well after my 21st birthday.
Interesting.
For the first time. Yeah.
I've seen it younger, but not traditionally younger.
It wasn't spun in my household. I guess the discs weren't spinning. It was more of a cassette tape.
The tapes were magnetizing or whatever they call it.
The tape was not magnetized in the household. So this is a big one for you. This is
It wasn't one that I watched every year, but I would maybe say it was one that I got more into the older that I got, but I had seen it younger. It just wasn't something they didn't show it on TV like they do now. Whereas A Christmas Story was like the movie that everybody saw.
Because they forced you to think it's special by playing it for 24 hours straight, right?
Am I crazy if I'm going to probably piss a lot of people off right now by saying this, but I think that movie's a little overrated.
No,
I like
movie.
it.
F that movie.
I like it, but it's overrated.
Because they overrated it, because they play it all day on Christmas.
They did.
They tried to make it a thing, you know? It doesn't have to be a thing. Just play it normal like every other movie.
My favorite thing was when they started to play Jingle All the Way. Because I'll take some Howard Langston
TBS.
selling mattresses every day.
You know, Ted Turner knows how to celebrate Christmas.
He knows what's up. Arnold Christmas.
With a run hour of 1 hour, 47 minutes.
I think it's just right.
Just about right. A comedy / family / Christmas movie directed by Jeremiah Chechik. Written by John Hughes. I got nothing to say about Jeremiah. Jeremiah, I don't know anything about him. I could take him or leave him.
Did you know that Chris Columbus almost directed this? And he decided he couldn't work with Chevy Chase. So even though he needed a job, he decided that he was going to quit anyway. And then John Hughes brought him in for Home Alone.
I feel like a lot of people don't like Chevy Chase.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, what is it, slander or libel? I forgot which one, but
write it down as libel.
Allegedly, he's difficult to work with. Allegedly.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, John Hughes, isn't John Hughes, Chris Columbus, aren't they the duo?
Columbus did a bunch of other movies with him, but he did Home Alone, right? And he went on to make 6 times the amount of money as this movie. So I think it worked out for him a little bit. It's my fun fact of the day there.
Yeah. IMDb 7.5 out of 10.
Too low.
It's probably too low. Rotten Tomatoes 70%.
Too low.
Although there's not much going on in this movie besides family turmoil, right? But I guess that's the beauty of it too, is they don't try to do too much.
It's like a period movie. It's like it's not an incident film. Well, actually, maybe it is an incident film.
The incidents happen. Yeah,
it's like a couple weeks in your life, and I like it. I don't know.
I think the charm of it is its simplicity. There isn't like too much to the story other than it's like a vignette of skits almost.
Yeah, there's the slapstick a little bit too, which I like.
Metacritic 49%.
Too low.
That's crazy. 3.5 out of 5. Letterboxd.
I think that's too low, but I can understand it. People probably just don't like Chevy Chase or something, or they think it's overrated. Like I think
he's wronged a lot of people. Apparently, a lot of people don't like him. I mean, in and out of the business.
Yeah, I still think it's too low. I give it like 5 out of 5, hands down.
As the holidays approach, Clark Griswold wants to have a perfect family Christmas. So he pesters his wife Ellen and children as he tries to make sure everything is in line, including the tree and house decorations. However, things go awry quickly. His hick cousin...
Whoa!
That says it there. Hick.
Whoa!
Hick cousin Eddie and his family show up unplanned and start living in their camper on the Griswold property. I don't know if he's a hick. I just think he's actually a war veteran. I
think he's from Kansas.
That got brain injury.
It's a hard H, man.
Yeah. Even worse, Clark's employers renege on the holiday bonus he needs.
Did they, or did they just decide that they just weren't going to do it this year? And look, I'm not for big corporate America here.
No, it sounds like opposite. You are. Sounds like you are.
But I have a lot of thoughts on bonuses and whether it's part of your salary or not.
Let me ask you, how did you fill your pool this holiday season? All the bonuses you stole from your employees?
I did not. I'll say this: I don't count my bonus as part of my like salary, and I think that's like a mistake. Mistake number one, Clark W. Griswold.
Yeah, one would say a fool would do that.
It was very foolish, if you would say. One would say it's very foolish.
Before we move on, how do you feel about a movie? A live action film opening with a cartoon sequence. This was kind of a thing in like the 80s and 70s. Do you like it?
I liked it. And it's funny because I told you this before we recorded, but I actually watched this with my daughter because I was like, I think she's old enough to at least see most of it. And it was one of those things where she's never seen this before. She didn't even know. We just said, hey, we're going to watch a classic Christmas movie. And she like saw the opening. And then when it transitioned to real people, she's like, wait, what?
Aw.
I was so confused. But she thought it was funny when, Santa showed his butt crack. So
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. But I like it. I'm a fan. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
they
like-
do it enough.
There was Grease, City Slickers did it, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids did it. I don't know. It's a thing.
I like it.
Part of me thinks the movie's kind of short, and I think they were trying to stretch it. The runtime said an hour 47, but I think that's kind of that's over exaggerating.
You
I
think
think
so?
the movie was more like 130 something. To be honest, if
I'm
I
okay
remember,
with that. I
if
mean,
I
it doesn't
remember
need to
watching,
be. It
I feel like the 4-minute cartoon stretched the movie out a little bit. It's an old movie trick.
That's a Chechik
Yeah.
special there.
Yeah,
He pulled it
yeah.
out.
That's right.
Jeremiah.
They call it pulling a Chechen.
Taglines. All right, there's only 3 today. Now that you've survived the holidays, you deserve a vacation. I can relate to that.
Okay, all right.
I think that when you have like a lot of obligations, there's some
Yeah.
things that, you need a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just holidays, just when you have a lot of obligations outside of work, you need a vacation from your vacation.
I agree.
You'll crack up, but you get it.
Yeah,
You
I
get it?
get it. Oh, I
You get it?
Listen, I love puns as much as anyone, but I'm out on all Yule puns.
You get it? Yeah. Like put it on the movie poster, you'll crack
Yeah.
up.
Oh, we get it.
There's no place like home for a holiday. It's too
Nah,
generic.
we'll go with the first one.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So this thing had a $28 million budget. It returned 74. So it's definitely a hit. And, it was obviously popular. I don't know that they could have predicted that it would endure the times that it's fully, become. And some would argue, I don't know if you would argue,
You?
would one argue or would you argue that this is actually the best of the vacation movies in the whole series?
You
I
don't
would
wanna
say
know.
this is the best one.
You don't want to know what I want to say,
I know what you're going to say.
because what I say would probably get me kicked off of the podcast district. My blockbuster movie pass would be revoked.
You really revoke it? Are you
'Cause
going to
I'm
say?
gonna say
what I
Vegas
think?
Vacation.
I
the best
I
one.
love that one.
I don't
It's a
care.
fun movie.
I don't care what anyone says.
This
It's
one-
my favorite.
You could one could also argue that this actually isn't really a vacation movie because they go somewhere in the first one, they go somewhere in the second one, and then they go
Yeah.
somewhere in the fourth one, but they don't
Yeah.
really go anywhere here. So
They don't go anywhere. He's still working. It's the whole thing. But
it's in the world of the
you
vacation.
gotta. It's the brand. It's the brand.
So how would you rank them then if you had to?
But which one is this in the
This
series?
is the third.
Is this the third one?
Yeah,
Okay.
the first one is
So the regular vacation.
Second is
at the
European.
amusement park. European. Yeah, the European one is nobody shows that one.
I've never seen it. I
It's
feel
good,
blasphemous, but
but nobody shows it. It's never on TV. It's never anywhere. I
I
don't know
never
why.
saw it.
It's a fun
because
movie.
I missed it. It's
Yeah.
probably funny. I
Mhm.
never saw it.
Yeah, I'm going. Vegas is 1.
Don't do it.
No, this one's 2.
Okay.
Regular vacation is 3, and then European is 4. But that doesn't mean that 4 is bad.
No,
or,
I
or,
think,
or that 2 is bad. I'm sorry.
yeah, I
It's
think
just 4. There's 4 good movies.
I would say this is my first one, and then the first one obviously is the best movie, but I think
Yeah.
Vegas is such a fun movie that
Yeah.
it's so silly and ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You could say it's a cash grab, but I really liked it.
I don't care if it's a cash grab. It was a cash grab done right. It could be a cash grab, and it can be done right.
Where
So-
does this one? So we've done a lot of holiday movies on this show already, right? Like I was looking them
Yeah.
up, and we have a whole playlist of holiday movies. I can't easily playlist the audio versions, but what I can do is I can send you guys in the show notes. I can put a playlist of the podcast for Christmas or holidays on YouTube, which we have a playlist. So go check it out, youtube.com/thelastwordpodcast. But where does this one rank for you? You mentioned that you saw it later in life more regularly. Like, is this a staple for you now, a holiday staple?
It is. I'll probably watch it yearly. Right up there with Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Just saw Home Alone the other day, actually. Just
Great movie.
by the way, still good. I don't know if you know. Doesn't get bad.
It
So.
didn't get bad.
Our right up our alley of our age. Jingle All the Way is hot. I'll do that. I'm a fan of, and this is some of these are some people might think these are lame, but I'm a fan of the old school stop action, like
Yeah.
there's like Clay or
Like Rudolph the
the
Red-Nosed
Rudolph
Reindeer
stuff
or whatever.
and the Abominable Snowman thing. That's a good one to me.
My wife really likes those.
I like
She
those.
grew up with those.
Traditionally,
Yeah.
And then the dumb Frosty one where he goes happy birthday. He tells everybody happy birthday for Christmas. He's like an idiot for some reason. Those cartoons. But those are probably just because I grew up and those were hot at the time.
I think this one is probably my favorite of all of them just because of the vibe of it. And I really like Jingle All the Way, obviously, because I'm a huge Schwarzenegger stan, as the young kids would say these days. But I mean, I like the classics too. And, we've done, Jack Frost, we've done a bunch of these others. And by the way, I don't dislike A Christmas Story. I think it's fine, but I don't think it's like the de facto.
We're okay. We're done with it. We're done.
I don't really have a connection to it like I do. I also think Elf is a great movie too for the holidays, which we haven't really done that one.
Yeah. Elf can be a little overbearing too, and that can be a little overplayed too. People try to overplay Elf as well. It's dangerous.
It gets shoved down your face.
Yeah, but I guess that's a lot of Christmas movies are guilty of that, I suppose, because it's like, it's time to watch it. But that's the way for all Christmas movies, I suppose.
I think a more recent one that came out that I watched a few years back that for the first time was The Night Before with Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and JGL. Well, I thought that was actually a really fun movie.
Let's not forget, man.
I know
Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, Harold and Kumar.
Such a good Christmas movie.
It's one of my favorites, man.
It's got heart.
I don't know if you guys are into this too, but I haven't seen these. And these are up our alley, so I don't know why we haven't seen these yet. But these sort of like action, like tongue-in-cheek movies.
Like the Hopper
Night.
from what you call it, Stranger Things.
Violent
the
Night,
Mel Gibson one, Fat Man.
Yeah. We haven't watched those.
Yeah, I don't know. I've avoided them, not purposefully, but yeah, they're probably great.
My other all-timer is we've done it on this show. We'll have to go back to it. Just Friends.
Just Friends. Yep. Because people don't think of that when they think of a Christmas movie, but yeah, totally counts.
What do you think? So do you think this then? You think about the different Christmas movies that are out there. Do you feel like this movie does like a family Christmas justice? Like, does it depict the family Christmas, the season?
I think so. It's over exaggerated with all the zaniness, but I feel like a lot of times you have your family over and you love your family, but at the same time, it can be a chore to host someone, especially for as long as they did. And it's like, especially being like, I thought the kids were represented accurately where, they're kind of, they feel like they're being put through it. They're burdened by it, but that's kind of a selfish way to look at it. I thought that was accurately put. The most unrealistic part is Griswold himself for being just super happy-go-lucky, thinking he could pull this off and everybody's going to be happy and it's all going to be a good time. Because something's going to happen or somebody's going to get mad at somebody. You have all those people in the house. It's going to happen.
It's weird because I think... go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I know you don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to have you talk about it right now. Can you imagine a world where your parents and your parents-in-law were living under the same roof for 2 weeks?
I don't think that I could imagine that for like any groups of people
and
there.
They're all four of them are very nice people. They're very great.
They're great.
And they like each other, but it's almost like a real world, like Big Brother situation, right? Where it's like a reality TV show. Put them in a house together for a week and they're going to start clashing. And that's exactly what would happen. That's actually what happens here.
What do they say? Four strangers.
Four strangers picked to live in a house.
You're right though. You get all the different personalities and these people know each other just like our families would too. Like I feel like you go stay with anybody for a long period of time, right? Yeah. Like we lived together for how long, but we had separate spaces. Like I think we got along really well when we lived together for a long time. But like, I think you have a hard time, I think, finding compatible people to be under the same roof with you. And that's not a knock on anybody. That's just like people have different interests and different styles and things. You put them all together at this time, which is some people would say it's the most stressful time of year for them too, because like Beverly D'Angelo trying to get everything ready, like Clark's still working. That's a lot of stress, man.
And that's the other thing, and not to get into everything, maybe as we transition into Clark Griswold himself, but it's all fun and games for Clark, right? This is gonna be a great time. We're all gonna get together. Oh, but here you go, dear. You're gonna cook for everybody. You're gonna host everybody. Clark's outside running away from it all, doing the lights and all that. He's purposefully like ducking out of the house to avoid the chaos.
She's stuck.
And she's stuck. Like, so he's it's what he wants, but he sticks it with her.
Yeah, he does. It's interesting. I don't know. Maybe we could do this. I don't know if it's now or whatever. You said you just watched Home Alone. I want to talk about Clark and speculate on him a little bit. But you mentioned like the different dynamics. You saw what happened with the McAllisters when they were alone for one day?
Yeah.
Resulted in, the spill of the century, Pepsi going everywhere.
Oh, geez. Don't remind me.
All kind.
I fired up.
John
all over
Hurt,
again.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
But that classic acting job of dumping the Pepsi, but there's in the milk.
You can't do more than one take, man. You can't do more than one take. He screwed up the one take.
One take Columbus.
Yeah.
So it's. But I want to ask you, maybe, who are nicer people, the McAllisters or the Griswolds? And are the Griswolds like bad people?
It's no contest. It's the Griswolds because, Drew, the McAllisters don't give a crap about Christmas.
You're right.
They're all about expensive, lavish trips to Paris and Florida. Not that Florida's anything.
Yeah.
But they're about going to tropical. Famous words of Kevin McAllister. Who wants to spend Christmas in a tropical environment anyway?
Yeah.
Right? They don't care. They're about going to fancy places, having fancy dinners, showing off, doing this and that. They leave the poor boy home.
Isn't that a weird thing? So obviously we're people that grew up and lived in the Northeast. I've never been anywhere for Christmas time that wasn't cold. Like it's what that time of year is to me. But obviously that's one small part of the world. Like,
right, yeah.
It's weird when I think about, I have friends and family in California that are like, they're wearing shorts and tank
70 to
tops.
75 degrees on Christmas Day, yeah.
Do you put a tree up? Like you do, but do you decorate it like snow? Like it's a weird thing, right? Or do you have a palm tree?
Those people, let me tell you, they wish they had snow until they actually had snow. Yeah.
Until they get it.
It's a dream of they're jealous of us, like legitimately jealous because they don't know the burden. They just see the fun and games.
It was awesome. I worked with a guy who was here from Brazil, and he saw snow for the first time when he was here. He also saw snow in New Jersey. So you got not only to the dirty snow, but you also got the driving situation there. And he was like, man, he loved it until he had to drive in it.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't mean to take us on a tangent. Talk about Clark Griswold here. What do you think he was like previously? You asked this before we started. I think it's a great question.
It's a great question because I feel like, because obviously, he's a very positive guy in the films that you push him enough times, he goes nuts, right? He's got that psycho inside of him, ready to burst out. Quiet rage. Perfect wording. Quiet rage. Do you think he was always this way? Or do you think that he had major rage as a high schooler and early 20s, and he got it out of his system and maybe settled down when he met Mrs. Griswold?
He might have, because we saw the only things that we've really seen in this movie specifically was him in the home movies.
Yeah.
And he seemed like a nice kid, but we don't know what happened.
But that was an 8-year-old, then we don't know. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you got some of the family members that you see. Like he probably was.
I feel like he had a drug problem in his 20s, talking coke.
Maybe
I think that he maybe was in jail once or twice, misdemeanors, but fights. I feel like he had a very serious rage problem that he has since controlled and suppressed only when the extreme circumstances bursted out of him. You even saw a shadow of it in the very beginning with the road rage.
Yeah.
he was keeping it together for the kids.
He wanted
to get out and smash that car.
What's your take on that? What do you do in that situation? Are you pulling over? What are you doing?
Listen, I've grown up as far as road rage goes because I will sear internally and swear at them under my breath. But there's too many people that will shoot you if you flip them the finger. Right,
that's a fact.
They will shoot you. I don't know where you live, you guys, listeners, but where we come from. No, it's not about where we come from. No,
my town.
Even though there was a shooting on our highway for road rage.
Man,
but
it's bad.
I'm not messing with people because people will they'll shoot you. They'll get out and they'll club your car.
It's not worth it. Like as mad as I get, I do exactly what you do. I get real mad, but it's like you just let it be. It's fine.
I'm not going to double finger somebody because I don't need bullets flying at my head.
I recently had somebody. there's a walking path near our house at a post office, and the pedestrians can push a button and it lights up like a crossing sign, and there's like flashing lights.
Yeah.
And I had my daughter in the car with me. She's like 7. And I stopped for the crosswalk because you're supposed to. And this guy was like, he was so mad at me. Like I'm like, he was, how dare you?
How dare you let,
it was crazy.
Let the pedestrian pass.
Like, and I'm not like, as my dad would call like the Q-tip drivers, the old people, but
Sure.
it was a situation. But no, I do you think he had any other addictions, especially given that every movie there's always a lady that is not his wife that he's speculating
it's either he had a sex addiction or like he's just sex crazed, and it's like, but he doesn't act on it. It's always like the fantasy, right? But
it doesn't seem like he has an unhealthy marriage. Like there are scenes in there where they're like getting together, so it's not like he
loves his wife and he would never cheat, but I mean, the daydreams are always there.
She's a saint, his wife, dealing with this. What about him as a father? So we've talked about this many times on the show. You invented the bad father barometer. What do you think of him as a father? And I think we could compare him to some other movie dads from the movies that we've done, or maybe some other ones within Christmas movies. Where do you see him on the scale?
So I have a mixed thoughts on this, because yes, he's a great father. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's a grade A father. He's there for his kids. Will do anything for him, right? But as the sibling, you kind of want him to back off a little bit, don't you? He's too much.
A little much.
There's deadbeat, there's Griswold, and you want something in the middle, right?
Deadbeat and Griswold.
Yeah.
He's no Roger's dad.
No, he's not Roger's dad. There's like Roger's dad, and then there's like somewhere along the way, there's Tim Allen from Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Then a little bit higher from him is Harry Tasker, not Harry Tasker,
Howard Langston.
Arnold from Jingle, who can't step away from the mattress business to take care of his son, right?
You're my number one customer, by the way.
And then a little bit further along that is the Jack Frost dad, from Michael Keaton, that's trying to keep the band together, even though it's not working.
Literally.
It's not working. He dies.
Yeah.
He dies trying to keep the band together, slipping on some snow.
Turns into a snowman.
And then now that he's a snowman, there's time to hang out with the boy.
After he's melting, he needs climate-controlled environment to hang out with the sun.
I feel like I want Michael Keaton as my dad.
The
band guy who's like away a lot, but when he comes back, he's on when he's there.
Really? I mean, if your dad was a snowman, it's pretty cool.
But
so
dad enough to make him miss you, right? That's what I say.
He's not too overbearing. He's gone enough that you want him back. Yeah. What about Peter McAllister? Because I don't think he was very good. I mean, we talked about him. So you don't think Tim Allen was a good dad, like pre Santa Claus?
Listen, I don't know how many children are in the McAllister household. I don't know what are children and what are cousins. I forget. But I have a feeling that Peter doesn't know all of his kids' names. I just have a slight sense.
At least Clark knows his kids. They keep changing every movie, though. Every single movie is different actors.
Different actors, same name. It's all good.
Rusty and
Russ and Audrey.
Yeah, Audrey. So I don't know. I think maybe he learned it from his dad, though, because his dad's older and more wise, where he sort of backed off a little bit. But I don't know if you ever get a little choked up at the scene where his dad's giving him the advice about like, hey man, you're kind of going a little crazy here.
Yeah.
His dad's got the wisdom and the wherewithal, and he's been through it, right? He said he's got some help from Jack Daniels.
And you can see the dynamic. The two parents, like Clark's parents, are very lovey-dovey, and
Ellen.
Is it Ellen?
I think Ellen.
I keep calling her Beverly because that's her real name.
I mean, Beverly D'Angelo is her real name.
Yeah. Her parents are a little bit more, I don't know, snooty. I don't know, or more uptight, right? But yeah, I think that comes with it. I think it's handed down. And honestly, I think that's you, man. You come from a great father. And
I appreciate that.
I think you're a good father yourself, and
Thank you.
I think you're more on the positive side. You're more Griswold than D'Angelo.
Yeah, I'm not.
Whatever the name is, Johnson.
I forgot what the heck their name was.
I think it's Johnson.
I forgot.
Well,
Art and Francis.
Eddie's last name is Johnson.
Was it?
Yeah, so I don't know if that name carries over, or because I don't know the full relation. He's the cousin of Ellen, right?
That was always one thing that it was Smith, I think it says Francis and Art Smith.
Okay, then Johnson isn't the family name then. Okay,
Yeah, Johnson is Eddie's name to cousin Catherine Johnson. You're right, and Ruby Sue. But you're right. It's and I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
I try, right?
But you're not Griswold either, but you're certainly not Michael Keaton.
I try not to be, I don't want to be a snowman. I'll melt.
Yeah.
But what do you think? So Clark takes this into his life. I mean, obviously I think a lot of people have seen the first one. He just wants to put his family on a vacation. For this one, he just wants to have the perfect family Christmas. He cares so much. And I think, there's a lot of people, it's become a meme, right? Like, oh, you're going to be a Griswold. You're going to be a Griswold at Christmas. And, I have a few friends that are really into Christmas and I like the season, right? I'm not like crazy on like the things like Clark does, but yeah, it's good to have traditions. And I would say, I think that's something that maybe I've lost a little bit with my side. Like we had a lot of family members in the past, and the older you get, the more people pass away, unfortunately, and you lose some of those things.
Sure.
And you got to try to start your own traditions. And I think that's what we're trying to do. Like watching this movie, watching certain movies, and doing certain things. My wife will bake like Christmas cookies with my daughter. Like there's different things that we try to do. Do you have any like traditions that you guys do with your family?
And that's what you said. Really, it's kind of like past, right? It's like
hard,
things
man.
that you did growing up. You have both grandparents, and you do separate things with them, or sometimes they'd all come together. Christmas Eve traditions, that you get one gift on Christmas Eve, especially get one gift, and it's usually a good one, but not the top one. But it's like it's like something to look forward to, right? The cookies and milk thing. The whole not so much anymore, but certainly in the past. I mean, traditions. I mean, we would meet at my grandmother's. We'd play games. I go over to my dad's side. We'd have Lebanese food and a nice turkey or ham or whatever. You get the best of both worlds. Presents here, presents there, all good stuff.
Yeah, it's good memories, and I think when you get the younger kids, like you obviously have a niece and a nephew, and I think like living vicariously through them is fun, right? And I think that's what Clark wanted. Like Clark just wants a family Christmas here. So we could talk about some of these different things that he wanted to do. What do you think about like a big Christmas? Like I think you asked me this earlier. What's the biggest one that you've had? So you mentioned these different ones that you went to. Like, did you ever have one the size of this?
I feel like maybe one time, we had a blowout where my mom's side and my dad's side, not everyone, but I don't know. I guess the main characters all came together, and I couldn't even tell you what year it was, and maybe I'm even misremembering it. Someone please, from my family, if you're listening, please correct me if I'm wrong. But it was still like maybe like maximum 20, right?
Yeah.
20 people. And it wasn't a sleepover thing. It was a one
like a
day
1 day
event. Yeah.
Like arrive at the place.
Yeah, like an 8-hour hangout type thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not for that. I'd like it to be a little more intimate.
You like it, yeah.
Not tiny, but more intimate. Sure. What about you? What do you?
Our Thanksgivings were, my parents would host. So our Thanksgivings were both sides. So my mom's side and my dad's side. So that was like the holiday where we both got together. And then Christmas was a little different, where we would go to like my aunt's house on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas morning we go to my grandmother's, but both on my mom's side. Like we had other grandparents visit and stuff different times, but Thanksgiving was like the big one that we did. And then Christmas was it was still a lot of people, but it wasn't as many as what we would have on Thanksgiving. But yeah, we never like had people stay with us for a while. Like my wife's family is, from a few hours away from here. So we travel for that. So we stay there, which is nice because then you get to be there on Christmas and stuff like that and be part of those different traditions. So we'll travel for that as part of our family, but like we haven't done like the big ones like when we were younger.
It's too much, man. I bring it back to that question I posed to you earlier. It's like, imagine having all four of your parents, under the same roof at the one time, you'd be running outside too. You'd be going to check on the
I
lights.
think
for
anybody
sure.
would for sure.
Yeah.
And they might too, because it's like they don't even like you don't even have space. Like the grandparents, and we'll have to talk about this later, but I think they came on December 14th.
Yeah,
like
too long,
too early.
too early. Like what's going on?
What about? So we'll go through some of these other things that he wants, and maybe we'll ask some questions through here. But like he also had to have a real tree versus a fake one, and I'm sure we've talked about this on one of our old episodes, but maybe it's just time to bring it back up again.
I don't know.
What's yours? What's your preference?
Let me tell you, man. This is all about two different people. This is old me and or younger me and older me. When I was a kid, it had to be real, right?
Really?
Let's get a real tree. Get the smell in. Get the real tree smell. It's got to be real.
Was that you or your family? Like,
well, it was a family, but I truly, if we got a fake tree, I'd be like, what the heck's going on?
What
here?
is this?
Yeah, what is this? And eventually, we did get a fake one. But when I was younger, I remember it always being fresh and real.
Was that part of the experience too, going to get it with your family, or was it? Like,
we're not sawing one down like Clark, but we were definitely you go to the tree store or whatever the heck, off of whatever Home Depot parking lot. I don't know what the heck.
Yeah.
And you pick one out. And you act like you know what you're looking for, but you don't know what you're looking for. Oh, this is a full
this looks
one.
like a good one.
This is a good one right here.
Nobody
Nobody
is the
knows.
one.
Nobody knows. Yeah. But certainly in my adult, like, what a burden to bring a live tree into your house and
keep it watered.
Have all the needles and the sap. It's like, get out of here. Who wants that?
I never had a real tree. Like we always had a fake one. However, we had my mom's aunt, so it was my great aunt. They had a real tree, so that was my exposure to it, and I liked it because it wasn't at my house, but it was there. But yeah, you're right. Like the sap, the needles, and I remember them like having to water the thing, just make sure it doesn't light on fire.
And I never watered the damn thing, and I never disposed of a tree before, so it's like it was all fun and games for me, right? But my poor parents.
You had a good time with it. How early did you guys go to get it? Was it like, hey, we're going the day after Thanksgiving? Like that's a lot of people do that.
I don't know if it was that early, but I feel like it was definitely within the first week of December.
Yeah.
And then it's up until, freaking mid-January, right? It never comes down. It's fine.
No. What about Christmas lights? Do you have any experience with that, or do you have any preference on that? Do you do lights?
Again, I've never put up lights in my life. And this
Never
is another
once.
thing of me enjoying lights when I was younger because they're, I didn't do them, right? I was very, very lucky to be blessed with a lighted house.
You weren't stapling them into your roof like Clark?
Nope. I'm not climbing any ladders. I'm not getting up on the roof. I'm not stapling any lights. If I have to do something, there's going to be no lights. You come to my house right now, you have no idea it's Christmas. It might be July at my house. Who knows?
You had a tree the one year?
I had a tree. I think it was my sister forced me to put it up or something.
We
I
had
remember
a tree
correctly.
when we were in our apartment together. And
we did.
Do we have pictures of that? I do. I'm going to
think
post
so.
them on our
It was
account because
pretty
we
sad looking
decorated
tree.
it very great.
Yeah, it was a pretty sad looking tree. Like it had Eagles memorabilia all over it. That was about it.
Memorabilia.
Yeah, memorabilia.
You had like starting lineups in there. We put the Eagles helmet on the top.
Put the helmet on top, right?
I'll post
that was good. No, I'm fine with that. And I actually do like the aesthetic of having like Christmas lights inside the house. Right.
Feels cozy.
That's like the only lighting, that you have. You turn the lights off and you have the Christmas lights on the TV or something. That's nice. But I'm a fan of standard white lights.
Yeah, I like that too.
Not big bulbed, not flashing, and not icicles.
Yeah.
I like standard,
just white.
Like the flat looking or like skinny cylinder white lights.
I know what you mean.
Classy, simple.
I like that.
What's your favorite?
I like that, but I also like the icicles. But the icicles were sort of a fad for like a minute, and everybody had the icicles. We always had like basic lighting. My parents had these like animatronic Raggedy Ann and Andy. I don't know if you know those, like the characters.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah, I know.
So
them.
my parents had these things that they would put in the front window and they would like move, and it was pretty cool. And my mom does a great job with like decorations on stuff. And she, like, it always feels like magical in her house because she's got like lights and trees and things like that. And she does such a nice job with the lighting. Like the lighting to me is like, that's how you get like good ambiance.
Sure.
Like the lighting inside. And we weren't like Clark, right? Putting them all over the house and everything like that. It was more indoor lighting and then some basic outdoor stuff. But we didn't go nuts. If you guys, we'll have to post another picture on this. There's a house not far from us. The guy that has like the 8,000 blow up things.
Oh yeah, what's his
It's
electric
like
bill?
comical, and he takes PayPal donations for the electric
Yeah.
bill, like in the front
Yeah.
yard. You can't drive by his house. It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle. Like people will literally
Yeah.
drive and like check this out. I'll post a picture online.
It's the scene where Clark blacks out the entire city, and the
That's this
nuclear
guy's yard.
plant had to boost it. That's this guy.
It's wild. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not joking when I say there's like crowds of people that come to see this. Every inch of his lawn is filled with the blow up
Yeah.
like giant things. So
What about adult Drew? Are you dressing the house up?
I mean, we do some basic stuff on like the tree, but we don't do too
No,
much.
I mean outside. Are
Yeah.
you hanging stuff from the roof?
We don't do the roof. No.
Yeah.
I just don't have the patience for it, man. And plus, I'll probably get an HOA fine or something.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's
Because
not
they like to
uniform.
fine you for everything.
It's not uniform.
So I don't know. What about family members staying with you? Like, have you just? We already kind of talked about that, I guess. But you said this earlier. Was it too much for the kids to ask? Like, what about the sleeping situation? Could you
Is
deal
it
with that?
weird to have the two teenage kids sleeping in the same bed and sharing the room, especially with the teenage daughter being, like 15,
Yeah.
and the kid being. I'm not saying any funny business or anything like that. That's not being a sicko about it. But it just seems like they're the type of age where they should probably not. They should be separated because it's not appropriate, especially for the girl, right?
I think he slept in her bed, but I mean, you tell me they can't put like a little cot or something in that room. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I would sleep on
only
the floor.
place?
Yeah, sleep on the floor. But I don't know, you putting the kids out. I mean, this should have been better planning, right?
Yeah,
Get the kid a mattress, stick him in a closet, right? Or even downstairs. I don't care where. It just seems like if I were to lose my room,
that's
bull.
it. That's
It's
it.
bull.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I'm selfish. Call me selfish. Call me selfish.
It was poor planning though, just in general, because they didn't even know that they were coming, right? Because if you remember Ellen's character, she's like, "Oh, my mom said she's coming for Christmas," and he's like, "Oh, this is great! Like, I want to have this big Christmas," and she's skeptical.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, we can do it. No problem. But again, he doesn't have to do anything. Like he doesn't think about the logistics. Like
sure.
what food are they making? What are they doing? Like they're fighting in the dining room in the morning when he comes down the one day. Like that's what would happen if you're together since December 12th or whatever the hell date it was. It was
Did
crazy.
they know? So do you think, maybe I missed this, like out of all the years viewing this, did they know they were coming that early or did the parents spring the early entrance on them?
I think they probably knew, but they never said like, hey, they're coming on this day. The other question kind of tied into what you said is, did the both sets of parents know that they were going to stay, or was the only one like we're staying? No, but we're staying. Like that could have been a wrinkle that they could have put in there where it was like
maybe that's a thing where that's why they were a little unprepared about the sleeping arrangement and all that. It's true. It's true.
I agree. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know where to talk about this. Maybe it's now. Maybe it's later. We could touch a little bit lightly on it because I know we can't be here for 2 hours, but his job and his boss. You got Brian Doyle Murray as Mr. Shirley. What is his job? I don't like. They say it, but what is he doing?
He's up for food additive executive of the year, Drew.
Something like that, right? Like, what does he do?
Flavor, I don't know, flavor enhancer. Is he like a scientist, a food scientist, or is it a marketing thing?
No, I got the impression he was the scientist because he was like behind, like he had molecules and stuff on his desk, but they never touched on this ever in the other ones, did they? They never said what he did. Am I an idiot? Like I don't
think
remember.
they just made this up because the story revolved around the bonus, right?
I'm not a
Him
cereal
getting
and
his
milk guy
bonus.
though, so you have to tell me. Like, would you want something that keeps the cereal crunchy? Because I don't do cereal and milk.
I prefer when the cereal gets soggy, Drew. This is
You like
not
it?
what I want. I like it crunchy at first, but I like the different stages of the cereal.
The decay.
I like it to devolve into sogginess at the end of the bowl. I would be off put if the cereal was crunchy all day.
See, I'm not a milk guy. I don't like milk. Never did. So I will eat dry cereal, like a snack or something. But I never really liked the
That's
milk
like
side of
human.
it.
It's like human dog food, Drew.
Yeah,
Dry cereal.
it's good, man. Cinnamon toast crunch.
Yeah,
It's just sugar.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
sugar crackers. So, have you ever had a boss like Shirley? Like, I guess he's the CEO, right?
So the type of boss that's like blah 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 blah, get to work, blah 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 blah.
Have me a
No, I
brief
have
summary
not.
by the end of the day.
I have not had a hard ass as a boss, fortunately.
Have you
In
ever
my-
had
in my
somebody
life.
get me this by the end of the day?
Yeah, but not in those not in that tone.
Larry,
Yeah.
calling you a different name. It's
Slippy,
like
slappy. Yep.
what is it? David Tepper. He calls people the wrong name just out of a power move. So,
Oh yeah.
allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is a great power move though, to purposely call somebody by a different name.
It's like
I'm a
one of
fan
the
of it.
most disrespectful things you could possibly do.
I would use it if I ever could, or a situation arose.
I've definitely had that situation in various jobs where it's like, hey, I need this by the end of the day, or I need this by 8 a.m. It's like, what? Like, where are you coming from, man? I try not to do that to my team, but man.
It's Friday at 2 p.m. and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should sneak out early.
Yep.
And, Drew,
No way.
hop on this meeting, 4:00,
Yeah.
Friday, Christmas Eve.
What about the whole idea of the bonus thing, right? Like, we said
Yeah.
this earlier. Do you consider it part of your bonus?
Only
And would you
a
spend it?
fool would count on a bonus as part of your salary. You hope to get it. You can't spend it
That's why it's called a
before
bonus.
it's there. Yeah.
It's a bonus. It's not your salary.
How do you know how much it's going to be?
You
Could
don't.
be $5. It could be $0. It could be jelly of the month.
Man, I'll tell you what. The last company I worked at, we never even got one. The one that I'm at now,
Yeah.
we get them, but I don't
Well-
count on that as like a thing.
Yeah. But however, he did say at the end, don't have a bonus. I don't care. But tell me. Don't
That's
make people
fair.
think they're getting a bonus.
But what made him think he was getting one?
I guess you're right. Because
They
they,
never
always
said
have one. Because they always have
But
one.
okay, they always have one.
If
Maybe
we're
not
not
this year.
having one this year, please tell us.
Times are
I
tough.
suppose.
Put my CEO hat on. Times are tough. I got to
Yeah.
pay myself $10 billion. You can't
Maybe-
give you a bonus.
Maybe Bill Murray's brother was giving them bonuses that the company couldn't afford for X amount of years.
That's true,
And
too.
ever think of that?
It's running the place into the ground.
And then this year he was like, you know what? Budget's tight this year. It sucks, but let's do Jelly of the Month. It's something. At least we give them something. Jelly of the Month is not cheap.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Yeah.
But there is a joke, and I think I've told this on the show before, but my boss jokingly gave me a Jelly of the
Yeah.
Month Club paper the
Oh.
one year because he knows that I like this movie, and he
Yeah.
didn't tell me. And it was hilarious because he gave me the folder, and the way that he did it, he was giggling about it, and he
Yeah.
thought it was so funny. And he's a very relatively straight, serious guy, right? And he was joking. He was giggling about this thing as he's giving me this folder, and I pulled it out,
Yeah.
and he was cracking up. And obviously it was a joke, and he knew it wasn't to be mean, but it
Yeah.
was funny as hell because I love this movie, and it was a great joke that he gave me. But it was pretty awesome.
Did you indulge on the jellies?
I
Or was
did.
it a fake?
No,
Was it a fake thing?
He printed it out.
It was
and he
completely
wrote
fake.
it. Yeah,
Oh.
he
Should have
printed it
actually
out.
signed you
It was-
up for it.
I don't know. Do they have? I
Yeah.
guess they do have that. It's what is it? Birchbox or whatever the hell those things
Yeah,
are called.
whatever the heck it is. Yeah.
Geek Box, Loot Crate.
Great beer of the month.
What do you think about putting it down on the pool? So he was trying to get ahead of things. He wanted to get a pool for his family. So
So, is it a good idea to have a pool in Chicago, Drew? I don't know if it is.
we've been there in August and it was hot, but I don't
Yeah,
know how
but,
long it was hot.
Is it hot in June? You're gonna get 2 months out of this thing a year.
Is it? I
aren't
don't
you?
know. This is me as an idiot. I don't know what the
I
weather's
don't know
like
if
in
you're gonna
Chicago
get
year
I don't know how
round.
much swimming weather you're gonna get in June in Chicago, Drew.
I know it's cold.
So would you build a pool? $10,000 plus probably
At least you
for-
got a
for two-
$7,500
for 2 months
deposit.
of swimming. Yeah, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. I don't
I'll tell you
know.
what. You said you liked having a fake tree when you didn't have to deal with it. You
Yeah.
liked having lights on your
Yeah.
house when you have to deal with it. I
Uh,
loved having a pool, but I hated
Yeah.
dealing with it.
You
We
hated
had
dealing with it.
we had an above ground pool when I was growing up, and we begged for it. And it
Yeah.
was one of those things where my dad was great. He helped get it, but man, that thing sucked. It took 2 hours just to vacuum the damn thing before you could
Yeah.
even get
Well,
in there.
Maybe it's similar. I mean, people know that we live in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
We had it for a few
Pennsylvania is
months.
similar to having a pool in Chicago. I don't know. It just seems to me Chicago seems like a very cold weather town to me.
We got to talk about the family and talk about all the different scenarios and possible violations here. The first one we've already touched on was how early they showed up. But did Clark immediately regret it the second he saw them?
Oh, yeah, sure.
He offered
I mean,
to park the cars.
It was 6 people talking to each other at the same time, and he was like, "I got to get out of the house immediately," which is what I would do. I would look for an exit immediately. So, same, Clark, same.
We already talked a little bit about Rusty and Audrey as kids. Do you think they're good kids in the context of this movie?
Yeah, they're good kids. I mean, Audrey's teen-ish, but she's sweet. She compliments the lights even when they don't work. She knows she's trying to make her dad be happy.
She was nice to the grandparents.
Yeah. Rusty's a little sarcastic, but he seems like he means well. Also, he grows up to be Nick Papa Giorgio, and we know that, he's a very unassuming, he's a sweet boy, right? Sure. So I think they're good kids. Yeah.
Would you like Ethan Embry as Nick Papa Giorgio or Johnny Galecki as Nick Papa Giorgio?
Let me tell you, nothing would make me happier if my boy grew up to be Ethan Embry. Such a sweet boy.
He's a sweet boy.
Yeah.
Oh, can't hardly wait. What a geek. What about the in-laws? So we can touch on these. You already talked about the father-in-law, but do you think he's actually a jerk? And do you think they ever had a good relationship?
No, I think it's always like not good enough my daughter vibes, right? That whole thing. I think he thinks he's trash, honestly. I think her parents think that he's trash.
We could talk about Uncle
It's not fair.
We could talk about Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany. There's not much to talk about there. The father-in-laws, we already said it. His parents seem like nice people, I think. And we'll talk about some of these plot points as we go through this list of violations. So let's go through some of these. I'm sure I missed some, but let's go through these and you tell me whether these things are officially a violation. You could be the judge. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit about it. So the first one that we have is it's a violation potentially on the family for showing up on December 14th or earlier.
Absolutely a violation. It's way too long. I don't care where you're coming from, right? Let's say they live the furthest away. Let's say they lived in freaking Seattle, Washington, right? Maximum 5 nights.
That's what I was going to say. Is that's the maximum amount of time you can stay in someone's house?
Maximum, yeah. And we're talking you're showing up on the 23rd and you're leaving on the 26th, 27th.
Yeah. Because otherwise you owe them rent. I mean, you're there that long. You pay rent.
Yeah.
They're way too early, man.
Or even show up on the 23rd and leave on New Year's or something.
That's true.
Even that's it's long, but
it's the holidays.
It's the build up to the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like if you show up on the 14th, Beverly D'Angelo's getting ready. She's got to get stuff ready. That the family's got stuff to do. What are they doing? They're hosting for 2 weeks.
Get the shopping out of the way. Dot the T's, cross the I's. Get the fridge stocked with everyone's favorite things. Be a good host. And you don't get the opportunity if they come bang on your door friggin' 2 weeks before Christmas.
What about the father-in-law again? What was the guy's name?
It doesn't matter.
Art, him showing up, and then Chevy Chase gets locked in the attic.
Yeah, and
he's wants to go to the mall anyway, and he says he's got another car, he can drive. I gotta eat so I can take my back pills.
Total think for yourself or total violation. I don't like this guy one bit.
What is the absolute latest that you would go shopping for Christmas in a physical store in 2023 right now?
Well, I'll go on the 24th if you drive me.
If you're not driving.
I'm not driving. Yeah. There's nothing worse to me than driving around a parking lot in the mall looking for a spot.
Especially where we live.
Yeah. And if you have to park in the last spot of the mall, maybe the mall's not worth going to that day.
Yeah. I'd rather park in the last spot than try to drive around and try to get the first spot. I hate the people that are camping for the first spot.
Let's just freaking walk, man.
Pick the spot, man.
Yeah, you're going to be walking 10 miles in the mall. You might as well walk freaking 30 steps outside the mall, right?
I have vivid memories of us going to the mall, and where we live, it's insane around Christmas time. It's not like New York City or anything, but the amount of people in a place for where we are. Our friend drove, so it was good because I didn't have to sit in traffic.
It's fine. But I mean, we've lived long enough to where we've had pre-internet shopping, and now in this era of you don't have to leave the house anymore to go do your Christmas shopping. And there's something nice about
I like
going Christmas shopping, but I'm a late shopper. But I'll be done by the 23rd. At the
You're not
latest.
doing it this, December 24th into
no,
the
the very rarely have ever needed something on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
That's for the true slackers.
I got Beverly D'Angelo as my wife here. She's the most thoughtful person, and she does a lot of the shopping for our family members. She's very thoughtful, and she gets thoughtful gifts for people.
And she knows what people like.
She does. And she does a lot of that early. She's good at that.
Yep. Women be shopping. Yep.
What about Eddie, cousin Eddie? We didn't even really talk about him much, but
Cousin
just
Ed.
showing up unannounced with his kids to crash the holiday and then dumping the kids in the house so he could get the rubber sheets out.
I mean, perspective, really. First, let the kids sleep in the house. They're not taking up space. They can curl up on the foot of the bed. You know,
Yeah, by the fire.
They're practically dogs, anyways.
They already got the
Right.
old people in there.
Yeah, yeah. Cousin Eddie is an interesting character because it's hard to talk about him on a podcast like this because a lot of Eddie is, you know, remember when he did this, remember when he did that. So, what can we say about Eddie that is, you know, in his leisure shoots that can't be said just by watching the movie, right? It's a movie stealing character.
I would agree. And I think, you know, shout out to Randy Quaid because I feel like he is so good in this. And you're right.
Yeah.
Like you can't necessarily give him, oh, remember this, remember that. But I thought he was fantastic. And I'm telling you right now, I've said this all year. The best that guy performance at the Last Row Podcast Awards 2023 version. I don't know how he's not going to win this because he's just like, I mean, we've had a lot of great that guys this year. It's been stacked. We might have to open up, honorable mention, but he's so good. And, you know, I have to say one thing that is remember this, remember that.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite moment of him, and it's the most subtle thing, is he's got that turtleneck that's underneath the white sweater. That's a fake turtleneck.
But what's the point of the turtle? Why not just have a real turtleneck? Are they too expensive? Like, I don't get
He's
it.
trying to dress up, and I guess he doesn't want to get too hot, right? Because you wear like
all right.
double shirt
he's
under
wearing
a
sweater anyway.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. Then wear the turtleneck without the sweater.
so funny. It's like
I don't know. I don't know why
thing.
that exists,
It's
and
like
I
a
want to know
bib.
where he bought it.
It's
like
so
a
funny.
turtleneck bib.
It's my favorite thing of him.
Yeah.
But so violation to show up unannounced.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He wasn't invited.
No, not at all. But again, he's brain damaged. So what does he know? You know?
And you told me that it's okay because he has his own house. He brought his own house.
Yeah, he brought his own house. He's not imposing. He doesn't need a bed to sleep in.
Until the shitter's full and
Until the shitter's full.
What about this one? And you brought this up very, very, very slyly here, and I never even thought about this. Smoking in somebody else's house as a guest.
People were just lighting up left and right inside the Griswold house, Drew. And this is like the ultimate violation.
You sure that's not a 1989 thing, though?
Those are stinks that can't be unstunk inside your house. No, it's not a 1989. I feel like it's a 1970 thing.
Yeah.
It's a 1969 thing.
Like, do you mind?
If you're smoking inside of your own house, then you're being less classy. It's like a less classy house because your house, you don't know it, but it smells like cigarettes.
Yeah.
Take it outside, man. Take it outside. Get out on the deck. Get on the patio. You know?
Do you feel that way about smoking in a car too? Because it's like, I remember being a poor kid trying to buy a car. It's like, oh, is this a smoker's car?
Yeah.
Man, it sucks.
Well, I think a smoker's going to smoke inside a car. I get that. And I guess that's their personal property. But if you're going to like invite guests to your home, right? You're smoking in the house, then it's like people aren't going to want to come back. They're gonna be
Especially
house
some
smells
of
like
the
smoke.
cigarettes. Although, I don't know, Beverly D'Angelo, she pulled one out and they're like, are you smoking again? So clearly, like maybe she smoked, but she got over it. But everyone else was smoking.
Yeah. But she was stressed. And then cigars, when the cigars come out, Drew.
Yeah, that's
Just smoking a stogie in your living room, right?
that's a little much. In someone else's house, you're right. It's a violation.
Yeah.
Clear
Yeah.
violation.
Like
What-
if you're in your study with your glass of brandy
Yeah.
or whatever bourbon, then sure, fire one up in your study. But that's
the
like
air
leave it.
purifier out.
Yeah, leave it to one room.
What about guilting Eddie again, guilting Clark into buying the kids Christmas presents and then ultimately accepting it?
Because it's for the greater good. I'm all for it.
But he didn't have money, so he like sort of guilted him in, and Clark didn't have to say yes.
Yeah. You could have said, oh man, I know it's a tough one. Ugh. It's the right thing to do.
Question for the record. Was Clark buying that dog food for him too?
Yes.
Like the 80
he was.
bags of dog food?
Oh, absolutely he was.
I love how he also said, like, if it's okay with you, I'd like to get you something too. Something real nice.
Get yourself something real nice.
This is a deep one that I just happened to notice. I never noticed this before just because I was oblivious to it. But Rusty, for having a poster behind his top bunk of two tortoises getting it on.
Look, you can't knock the boy for studying nature. All right?
Where do you buy that poster? Like
That's gotta be like a Spencer's thing. It's like, oh, look at they're having sex. It's like, yeah, that's definitely a Spencer's thing.
turtles. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
There's probably a whole like set of it, like lions and turtles and birds or whatever.
So
the hell.
weird, man. So weird. It's renegade.
Mm.
What about Bethany bringing the cat as a gift and packing the Jello?
Well, she's out of her mind. Can't
Okay,
blame her. It's
not
not,
a
a
violation.
violation. Not a violation.
What about Lewis burning down the tree and not DGAF mode?
He's senile, but like he knows what he did. Like once he realized it, he didn't know he did it, but once he did it, he was like, screw that tree.
He put it out of its misery, he said.
He's what we call in the business a rotten old bastard.
He kind of is a rotten old bastard.
Mean old son of a bitch is what that guy is.
He's so old that he
Yeah.
doesn't care anymore
Right.
and screw
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. He's whatever,
Yeah,
Clark.
mean old son of a bitch.
And then Eddie and Clark killing the cat.
Yeah, that was an accident. What are you
It
gonna
was
do?
an accident.
What are you gonna do? It was an accident.
This is a deeper conversation here, but I got the impression that Eddie's wife cooked the turkey
Yes.
because she said I left it in too long.
Yes.
What about overcooking it? Does that ruin dinner? Did it ruin it?
Yes. They were crunching on that turkey, Drew. It's the worst
Man.
you could do.
I could taste that thing as they were
Oh.
eating it. Is dry turkey the worst food you could eat?
I think so, man. Like, oh. But I guess you could douse the thing in gravy. But if it's so cooked that it's like you have to crunch it.
The one lady
Yeah.
was dipping it in her water.
Yeah. Have you ever had a bad meal for the
Not-
holidays?
not
and
at a
to not say
holiday.
anything?
No,
You know?
like I have to be honest. Like I've gotten very lucky. Like most people that I've gone to, like all of my family members, they're like good cooks.
Well,
Like
yeah,
everybody
even-
makes
but
great food.
Listen, even good cooks, something could happen.
I've never, you know what? Actually, it wasn't a Christmas time, but it
Yeah.
was one time my mom made spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. And we put the Parmesan cheese on it, and it was a
Yeah.
brand new Parmesan cheese.
Uh-huh.
But I think it was bad, and we
Uh-huh.
know, like,
Oh, so like the noodles were like tasted like bad cheese.
so before anybody even ate, it just smelled like a like a barnyard, and we were like, "What the hell is this?" My mom felt so bad because it was like brand new cheese. And, you know, the Parmesan, like the grated cheese or whatever,
Yeah.
the powdered cheese. It was that. That was like one
That's
moment that I
hilarious.
remember. My brother, my dad, and I were like not saying anything.
I wish that was like Christmas dinner. It was your whole
It was
family. That would
not.
have been so good.
Have you had a bad meal where you had to say not that you
No,
have to say something, but
no, but
you can't say it. You can't.
There's a certain family member. Not going to say who.
If you're listening.
Not definitely not listening. she's history.
His skeletons are coming
She's
out
history.
here.
No, not the greatest. but darn it, I think she tried.
She tried. Did you?
She tried.
So how bad does it have to be for you to say something? I feel like you
No.
can never. You just can't.
Yeah. No, you never do. And then it was never like uneatable. It was like, we're there for Christmas. We'll bite the bullet. And not that, and like I said, not that it was horrible, but it was.
Would you?
Can we go to the other place now? House one of two.
Would you rather eat dry turkey or like a overcooked steak?
I'll take the steak. That's
like
hard
black.
to eat too, though. It's definitely hard to eat an overcooked
It's like
steak.
a
but
tire.
I would take the steak. I would take the steak, and like the steak doused in barbecue sauce is better than
Makes it better.
the driest turkey in the world doused with gravy.
Yeah, I feel like because the turkey gets caught in your throat. Like even
Yeah.
chicken gets that way when it gets too dry. Like if you
Yeah.
overcook it or over grill
Yeah.
it or something. Like I've done that before where you accidentally leave it in too long.
Yeah.
Man, it's rough to eat. Like I like how he was getting like the dental floss out
Yeah.
too because it was stuck in his teeth. It's all stringy. So
Speaking of meals, is there a better nap for the year than the Christmas Day nap?
it's a great one.
I mean,
It's
the
a great
Christmas
one.
Day nap, I guess you could say the Thanksgiving nap, but the Christmas nap, I feel like the Christmas nap is better because it's like seasonal. Things are going on. If you don't have full on child obligations, you could sit on the couch or chair and doze off, and it's fine.
You be like the old man in there, like
Yeah.
the guy, the rotten
Yeah.
old bastard.
Yeah.
I think you're right though because the Thanksgiving nap is like a food coma, because you got all the food that you ate. But
Yeah.
Christmas Day is it's a second day of an event. So Christmas Eve, right? If you're celebrating, you're doing stuff potentially. And then Christmas Day, you're tired as hell from the night before and all the events and the festivities of that day. So it's a long day. Did you ever have to go to church? Like I used to have to go to church on Christmas. We would go
No.
we've only gone midnight mass a few times. And like that was late, right? It's midnight, literally midnight. And then there was sometimes we had to go early.
I used to go with my grandfather on Saturdays, no matter when. Like
Ahead
every
of time,
Saturday.
yeah.
But I don't recall going to church for Christmas or Christmas Eve.
Like
Maybe
that
we did.
was-
I don't remember, but I feel like we were never like Christmas church family.
So you save the room for the people that only go on that day, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was too crowded.
yeah.
The Lord's house is too small to hold us.
They tell you, man, it's a mortal
Yeah.
sin. Like you got to be there. It's right. Like
Listen, if
we
I get
were
to
there.
if I get to the pearly gates and it's like, yep, you didn't show up to church for Christmas,
Remember that
and then
time,
he
Kevin?
just throws me down. Like,
December.
you know what? F you, man. If you're gonna be petty like that, you're gonna be petty.
You're gonna be hanging out with Fibonacci down in this freaking what's his name? Peter Stormare.
I don't think the Lord's a petty person, Drew. All right?
Kevin, on December 25th, 1994, you were
Yeah.
playing with
Did you ever-
Optimus Prime.
Did you ever fail a class for bad attendance? I don't think the Lord fails for bad attendance. Yeah.
We always forgive, except for that. You
Yeah.
can't be at church, you know?
Yeah.
So
You gotta have 100% attendance or else.
perfect attendance.
Anyway, best nap ever.
What about the family? This is the biggest one to me. Like not even close. So Christmas Eve, was it Eve or day dinner? It was Eve, right?
Eve.
So Christmas Eve, when all the stuff was going down, they were having a bad time. They start packing their bags. They're like, I'm out of here.
Now
Right?
listen, I'll say this. This is two stories in one. At first, I was like, "Hell yeah, Clark! They're not going anywhere. You stay. You know, you're a part of this. We're in this
Tying
together."
them to the chair.
But after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, if they want to leave, go ahead and let them leave. That's not fair. They're not having a good time. We're not having a good time. But yeah, my
would
gut
you want them
reaction.
gone?
My gut reaction was no. You're not going anywhere, buddy. Listen, you're part of this.
They help make the mess. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Like you
Yeah.
can't just leave.
Yep.
Like
You're part of this chaos. You're staying.
they're saying, like, how could it get any worse? Really?
Yeah.
Like, how could it get any
Yeah.
worse? I mean, it gets worse, but it's they have a nice time though. Like they do. They turn
Yeah.
it around. Like they read
Yeah.
the night before Christmas before Shirley busts in.
But there's no reason to leave because nobody has done anything to anyone else. You know what I mean? It's not like they were wrong.
They didn't fight.
They didn't fight. There wasn't a large fight between families or anything like that. It's just there's chaos. You know, there's live animals in the house. The house is getting wrecked. People are getting kidnapped. You know, but there was no family to family fight. So it's not like a fist fight and someone's got to go because we have to be separated.
I think I would want them to stay. I think they need to stay. They dug that grave there.
Yeah, you started this. We're finishing this.
You can't leave on Christmas Eve. Maybe you say, I'm leaving in the morning. I'm out of here tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
First thing tomorrow morning, I'm out of here.
What are they going to do? Drive? You're going to find a
It was
hotel
late.
on Christmas Eve?
Where are they going?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, what are you going to do? Were they going to go to bed? I guess. I mean, but if you'd been there since maybe December 12th or 14th, maybe you do want to get out of there.
Yeah.
What about, we'll go through the last couple of these quickly because then we got to talk about the ending. But Clark spending his bonus without having the money. I mean, we already talked about that. Is it a violation?
Total violation. Yeah. Biggest violation of the movie. Never assume that.
You can't assume it, right? What about Mr. Shirley cutting the bonuses and making it Jelly of the Month Club? Violation?
Same. Total violation. Let the people know ahead of time.
I
You got
agree
no
with
bonus. Yeah.
I agree. And then what about Eddie kidnapping Mr. Shirley, which we'll talk about in 1 second?
Not a violation because, like I said, he's brain damaged. He doesn't know any better. He's
Yes.
just doing what he's told. He
Yeah, he
wants
was
to get
asked.
Clark a great gift, and there it is. He took him for a word.
You know, you could argue that he's the hero of the movie. Think about that for a second. We'll come back to it. But we can't end this show without talking about Todd and Margot, like two of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah.
And I think you asked me about Clark earlier. This is Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Christopher Guest's brother, the neighbors that are like super yuppie. Do you think that they're yuppies, or is he a bad neighbor? Like, who's the bad neighbor here?
So the answer is yes and yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're yuppies. Yes, he's a bad neighbor. He's oblivious to the fact that he's a bad neighbor, but he's an annoying neighbor.
Did he try? Did he ever try?
I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like they probably didn't try. But in their defense, this guy is annoying, and they probably feel he doesn't belong in this neighborhood.
I mean,
right?
There's thousands of dollars of damage that were done to their house specifically. Like,
I mean, as far as I know, Todd and Margot's last name is McAllister, right?
It could be. I mean, they're very much similar.
I mean, they're both in Chicago. Like the family, both are Chicago movies.
He's the Murphys.
This could be a couple blocks down from, it could be the Murphys.
Where's the Wet Bandits at right now?
Let me tell you though, I want their stereo system.
That was a sweet
their new finagled late 80s, early 90s, new wave, freaking techno drum having Huey Lewis in the news listening stereo.
It looked like Patrick Bateman's apartment, right? Like that's what it looked like. It was crazy. Yep. But that's
Tears for Fears listening, I want it.
They had a lot of like weird things. They had like the foil the spacesuit sweatsuit thing where they're going to sweat it out and all that. And they were just super yuppie. But when their stereo got destroyed, like the genius part about that comedy is that it was ice. Yeah. So it melted and it was no trace of it, right?
Perfect crime. Why is it wet in here?
It's just ridiculous.
Ice spear. Who would have guessed ice spear?
Too bad. I mean, imagine they were sitting on the bed there. It's like getting killed. And the other thing, like, again, you talk about that, but when the lights went on and they were just dropping things and falling through the thing.
Yeah, total outrageous.
And her trying to make Todd go over and punch him in the face. If you're not going to take care of this, then I will. And like, just imagine being him when she comes in looking like she got beat up. Like,
he beat you up. He beat you up.
So anyway, let's talk about the ending of the movie. Coming back to the question that I asked you earlier, do you think Eddie's actually the hero of the movie? And is it better that he was there?
Kind of. I mean, got the bonus, right? Times 20%.
He wouldn't have got it if Eddie didn't show up, right?
Yeah. Good thing the shitter was full, let me tell you.
So it's like, do you think it would have gone as poorly as it did if he didn't show up, but it didn't have a chance to it's got to be, what did they say? It's darkest before the dawn?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Eddie didn't do anything terrible to like screw up the house. He didn't do anything.
You're right.
He broke a statue. There was nothing. It was really the wild animals. Actually, no. Okay, his dog broke the house. Never mind.
The dog
broke the house. Yeah,
took Clark's money.
Yep.
The gifts.
He didn't take his money. The kids need a Christmas tree.
They do, and the kids. I would have done the same thing if I was Clark. I'd have done the same thing. You got to do it.
Speaking of the kids, the girl calls him Santa Claus. I don't like that.
That's like a 20s gangster thing.
Yeah, I don't like when kids call Santa Claus Santa Claus. Not a fan.
It seemed
grow up.
It seemed like a 20s gangster thing to say, like Santa Claus.
Grow up, kids. Come on.
I don't know. What about, and so obviously Eddie kidnaps Mr. Shirley. I want to talk a little bit about this. The bonus, before he even does that, Clark gets the bonus. He builds it up to be this gigantic thing. And then he decides to open it in front of everybody. That's private. That's a private area right there. That's a private information.
Isn't it? All the house is destroyed, by the way.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's on his last nerve. So I feel like had he been in a better state of mind, it would not have been a grand unveiling. It's almost like, look at all the bad things that happened. Here's what's going to save us all. Right. How
much bonus do you think he was actually going to get? Because they put 20% on the whole thing at the end.
Yeah.
Like he's got to pay, they said $7,500 for the pool. And this is 1989. So you got to think about inflation.
Yeah.
But he's got to fix his damn house. His house is destroyed.
So he was I bet he was expecting $10,000.
You think so?
Like that, right? Yeah. I'm thinking $10,000.
What's a deposit? Is it 20%? Like 50%?
He said he had to put in a big deposit because of the end of the year or whatever, because the ground is, I don't know, who knows.
It was $7,500.
But I think the deposit was larger than it normally would have been because he wanted to get in early. Yeah, but I think it was about 10 grand.
I don't know, man. It's weird. And he said it was 17 years. So I guess with people counting on it, you would count it. But he surely has a change of heart. And he says, whatever you got, add 20%. At that moment, I was wondering, like, is he giving just him a bonus? And like, because he had the audacity to kidnap the guy. But
Yeah.
then he says that he's reinstating it for everybody, and his wife was obviously upset with him. So he did the right thing here. But man, maybe he should have pressed charges.
Yeah, I don't know. And you're right. The house is destroyed. Do the cops have to pay for the windows they all smashed in, or is that
ridiculous.
just nothing? Because if not, then yeah, that entire bonus check there's a lot of windows to fix, a lot of repair to be made to the Griswold house.
The problem is, like, that check's already accounted for. Like, you can't. I mean,
What's the fine for the sewage dump?
oh, that's going to be huge.
Right.
That's going to be huge, and maybe the cops will charge him for something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That lead cop, by the way, has such an iconic face to me. Like, I always recognize that guy. I don't even know who he is.
I don't
like,
know. He's a that guy. He's in a million things,
I
and I
can
feel like
see
he's
that
always
face.
a decorated police officer. Right.
It should
He's
have been
always a captain.
Hightower from Police Academy.
He's
Or,
always a captain.
What's the guy with Tackleberry, the guy with the giant gun from Police Academy. So I don't know. Do you think he should have pressed charges? Maybe that's how we can wrap it up.
So it was a very much a Scrooge type ending where it's like, change of heart, this and that. I feel like if he would have slept on it, he'd be like, you know what? Screw him.
This guy
Kidnapped me. This guy sicked his demented cousin in a blue leisure suit on me on Christmas Eve. Screw him. You know what? I am giving bonuses to everyone except him. It seems like the type of person he is. I'm
might
not
still
saying
do
I
it.
would do it. I'm saying that maybe he did it.
when they go back to work on Monday, man, maybe he's gonna find his office all cleared out. So, do you think they had a successful Christmas when all is said and done overall?
Yeah, I think it wrapped up nicely. Don't you? I mean,
They put a bow on it, and then they even
Yeah.
had the flaming Santa Claus thing at the end, and then they had the song again, which it's
you
great
pick
song.
up the pieces. You pick up the pieces. You salute America, and then you go on.
I'm a fan of the Christmas Vacation song. I know it's not Holiday Road like everyone wants, but I'm a fan of that song. So
It's fine. It's fine. I can take it or leave it. To be honest,
are you gonna watch this again next year? Final question.
of course, yeah.
I might
For
even
every
watch
year,
it again.
every year for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I might even watch it again. I want to know what you guys think. Is this on your list of Christmas movies? Where does it fit within the pantheon of holiday movies for the listeners out there? Send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on thelastrowpodcast.com, the website, all the social channels at The Last Row Pod. Hit us up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. We're going to be back. I mentioned we're doing a holiday gauntlet here. Not to bust out the schedule makers, but we gave ourselves a gauntlet. We're doing Die Hard next, finally, on December 21st in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then
it's
2
been a
weeks
while.
from then on January 4th, we'll be back with Scrooge, another Bill Murray classic. So I'm looking forward to these.
Oh yeah, big
So-
big December ahead.
Hopefully we, I don't know what you said at the beginning, that what is it, tantricize people for the,
Yeah, I don't know what the proper term is, but
we're warming them up for Christmas.
little bit at a time.
A little bit here. And on that note, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.